Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades of all kinds, thank you for joining me no matter where you're at cross country around this big, beautiful globe. And the worst case scenario has taken place. Make no doubt about it, the oligarchy has won. Donald Trump, a billionaire. Elon Musk, a billionaire. They are running the fucking show for the next 4 years from the White House. Okay, excuse my language. And before I even move on, we have to make a point that Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Jamie Harrison all need to resign. They should resign and retire, but they should at least resign their billets. Okay, now that's just the small, a little electoral portion for Americans. Our battle spans all of humanity. If there are humans on Mars, we're going to be dealing with it there. Everywhere humans are is where we have to battle. That's where we have to battle, right? So, look. MAGA, this little cult that's going to fucking go the way of the dodo someday, excuse my language, they are absolutely unanimous in their hate for you and me. They have full contempt for their fellow workers, tenants, and students across America. They have contempt for you. Donald Trump ain't accomplished shit for this country. He didn't do Social Security. That was FDR. He didn't do the GI Bill and unemployment insurance and a minimum wage. That was FDR. He didn't take on the Nazis and the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl. That was FDR. He didn't do the Great Society. That was LBJ. Medicare, Medicaid, HUD, PBS, NPR, whatever. Right? Voting rights, civil rights. That wasn't Donald Trump. That wasn't MAGA. That was us. That was America. That was the working class united. And how do you hit this critical mass? Is it just voting for Democrats in the primary and you try to get the more lefty one and then in general election so you can beat Republicans? That's not going to get it done internationally, folks. The hour is late and the situation is incredibly dire. You're going to need to arm, train, educate, organize, and unionize workers, tenants, and students internationally so we can counterstrike. Do you understand what I'm getting at here? Right? Now, you have to hit a critical mass in all of these places, and they all have to work together so that you can move on the institutions and take them over. You can dispatch of whatever parties from there, and you can have your own, right? Your socialist parties, your international socialist parties, and things of that nature. Okay? That's the freaking process. You can't deviate from the process. More evidence. Last week was just more evidence that you cannot deviate from the process to win for the working class. It's the only way we've ever won. By arming, training, educating, and organizing workers, tenants, and students. Why do I always say those three? Workers, tenants, and students. Why don't I say trans folks, gay people, and cross-dressers? Why don't I say black people, brown people, whatever the hell that means, and Asians, or what? Why don't I say that? It's because you want to speak to the broadest sections and deepest layers of humanity. What are the broadest sections and deepest layers of humanity? Workers, duh. Tenants, duh, and students. And by the way, there's a lot of overlap. It's not like they're three separate groups, right? There's a lot of over. Sometimes you're just a student, sometimes you're just a tenant. I get it. Sometimes you're just a worker, right? But there's generally a lot of overlap. That Venn diagram is pretty close to a circle, right? It's getting really close to a circle. Now, that's the process. What you do when you get in power is an entirely different story. We've talked about this. We sound like Jesus Christ on the Mount. Help the needy, feed the hungry, clothe the naked with universal basic income. You want to house the homeless with universal basic housing. You want to treat the sick with universal health care. You want to educate the ignorant and willing with college tuition. You want pre-K and childcare and universal breakfast and universal lunch and freaking paid family leave and paid sick leave. You want a jobs guarantee. Jobs, 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 baby. Guarantee them. Guarantee jobs and a living wage. You have the right to a living wage. You have the right to labor in your republic. You absolutely have. Now, if you want to be a freaking duffer, Okay, I consider you a class traitor, actually, if you're just some freaking big dosser trying to live off the dole. No, forget that. You're supposed to build a republic. And when you build that sort of republic with those programs, it defends itself. It purges itself of oligarchy and plutocracy and, you know, you'll find, like, you'll notice the pseudo left, they always say the duopoly. It is a duopoly. But what kind of duopoly is it? It's not a socialist duopoly. Would I be? I wouldn't even be fucking here. None of you would even know who the All American Socialist was. By the way, I used to, when you used to Google me, whatever that, search engine me, whether it was Yahoo, Bing, or Google. This is my narcissism, I guess, my ego. I used to be number one. Now you can barely even find me. You have to like type YouTube or Twitter after it. Maybe that's just the algorithm giving me one more in the freaking ribs. but yeah. Besides my nonsense, seriously, all of those programs that I just mentioned, UBH, UBI, Jobs Guarantee, Universal Health Care, all of those come from you having a critical mass. Why are we trying to do a patchwork to make up a critical mass when it sits right in front of us? Workers, tenants, and students, they are the critical mass. Why are we trying to patch together drag queens and you try to appeal to single moms or something like suburban wine mom? Like, what the hell is that? We got to get our shit together, man. We got to get our shit together so that we can convert retreat into advance. When the left wing loses, workers, tenants, and students get crushed. When the right wing wins, workers, tenants, and students get crushed. Let's get the fuck together. I'm going to leave it at that. You know what's up.